What things technically aren't illegal, but if you do them, you'll look like a total asshole? Grabbing some frozen or hot item at the store and then changing your mind and dumping it wherever, so it goes bad. This crap drives me nuts, especially at Walmart or Target. I once found half-thawed groceries right in the shoe department. What the hell? Doom scrolling on public transit with the sound blasting on speaker. I'll give you an even worse example. Scrolling your feed with the sound on inside a bathroom stall. I was once sitting in a stall a couple of spots over, and while doing my business, was forced to listen to 4-hour-long clips of Drake and Josh, collecting extremely detailed information about the daily lives of millions of people. When they walk, when they drive, where they live, sleep, and work, what their hobbies are, who they're connected to, which room they sleep in, when they usually go to bed, what car they drive, and so on. And then selling all of it to ad agencies. Cutting in line where it's technically allowed, for example, at a buffet or some event, while making everyone around you hate you. Filling a whole cart at the supermarket and just abandoning it. I'm still ashamed of the one time I did that. But I had severe food poisoning back then, and so did my whole family. I tried to power through the grocery run, but I threw up. I ran to the bathroom, and while I was peeing, I also shit myself. In the end, I tied my jacket around my waist and got out of there as fast as I could. I apologized to whoever had to clean up all that chicken noodle soup and Gatorade. Pushing your way onto a train or bus without letting people get off first, just shoving through the people getting out. Note: in Switzerland, it's customary to stand to the side of the doors, calmly let people off, and only then get on without any shoving. I've gotten to the point where, when the doors open, I just step forward. Either you move yourself, or I'll move you. Yeah, I catch sideways glances and annoyed tisks, but I don't care. If you let people off first, then it's easier for everyone to get on. I don't get why that's so hard to understand. By the time I hit my 30s, I started using the grumpy old lady tactic on public transit. When the doors open, I look these people in the eye and say, "Let people off first." Most of the time they step back and apologize. Internet pranks are infuriating. The fact that these cretins can walk into a Walmart and harass people who are just living their lives, then post their humiliation online with almost no consequences. And it's also messed up that you can make money off these pranks, racking up views without ever asking the consent of the people being filmed. I'm very glad this junk is banned by law in the EU. Here you can film and publish crowds of people, but if one specific person is in the shot, you need their permission to publish the video. Rolling out AI and laying off employees purely to boost profits. Pulling up and taking a parking spot another driver was already waiting for, just because the car pulling out happened to be in his way. Blowing out the candles on someone else's birthday cake. Standing in an elevator facing the back wall instead of looking at the doors. Putting shrimp with the tails still on, in a dish where they're already mixed in, like pasta or rice. And on top of that, drenching everything in a sticky sauce, usually tomato, so that anyone who doesn't eat the tails has to get their hands all messy. Playing music, a game, or a video on your phone speaker in a packed bus or train. People do this on the mountain at ski resorts too. Hello, not everyone wants to listen to your music. And you're also disturbing the peace of nature. Headphones, dude. Wearing white to a wedding when you're not the bride. Abandoning your cart in the parking lot after you've loaded your groceries into the car. Technically, it's not against the rules, but it looks like pure laziness and total disregard for other people. In March 1984, a man named Gary Plauché shot the person who had molested his son. After the perpetrator was arrested, he was flown back to the state where the crime was committed to stand trial. And some journalist told Plauché the time of his arrival at the airport. Plauché put on a hat and glasses, took a gun, and got there early. As the TV cameras filmed the perpetrator being walked through the airport, they passed right by Plauché. He calmly set the phone receiver back down, took a few steps, and shot him in the head, killing him on the spot. He was immediately arrested. He didn't resist, and ended up getting a relatively light sentence for what many considered an understandable act. You can find the footage on YouTube. But the most remarkable thing about the story is that even in the moment of the killing and his arrest, Plauché kept basic courtesy and hung the phone receiver back up. And if Gary Plauché could do that, then maybe the rest of us are capable of returning the cart to where it belongs. Peeing yourself on purpose. An alternative: demonstratively ripping a big, juicy fart next to people, knowing full well what the effect will be. As the owner of an investment fund, buying up long-established stable companies like J.C. Penney, Red Lobster, or Bed Bath & Beyond, then squeezing everything you can out of them, selling the land to an affiliated entity and renting it back at inflated rates, taking the pension savings employees built up over decades, loading the business with debt, and draining every available line of credit, and after that, declaring that the company failed, filing for bankruptcy, and shutting it down. The classic scheme Mitt Romney used to almost become a billionaire. Cutting off another driver and then immediately crawling along at a snail's pace, declawing cats, onychectomy. It's nothing like trimming a cat's nails. It's actually amputating the last bone of each toe. Even setting aside how horrific that is, the procedure forces them to walk unnaturally and leads to lifelong problems with their paws and back. Here's hoping that as awareness grows, this procedure will eventually be banned. Taking up 2 parking spots at once. Ordering the most complicated, slowest to make dishes 5 minutes before the restaurant closes. Filming an unfolding tragedy on your phone for likes instead of helping, or at least not getting in the way. If a bathroom has more than 2 urinals and someone is standing at the end one, technically you're allowed to stand right next to him, even though you really shouldn't. Building a huge store in an area full of small shops, dropping prices below what they can compete with, and then, after they close down, raising the prices back up. Being completely oblivious to what's going on around you. Blocking the aisle with your cart while you stand there chatting with someone. Walking in a tight group of 3 or more, forcing everyone else to go around you, especially on narrow sidewalks by busy roads, where somehow it's expected that other people will step into traffic rather than you moving aside. Suddenly darting in front of someone walking and then immediately stopping or crawling along. Leaving your car right in front of someone's house or driveway. Taking scarce spots to go to the park or run your errands, even though you have your own parking. And where the hell are the residents supposed to park when they get home? Crawling in the left lane, and then, when someone behind you tries to pass, suddenly hitting the gas. Racking up over $10 billion in bankruptcies. Then convincing a crowd of gullible people that you're a successful, genius billionaire, and eventually becoming president. Dragging a victim's reputation through the mud in court to win a case for a wealthy client. Technically, it's considered just doing a lawyer's job. But it takes a rare kind of inhumanity. That also includes trying to confuse abuse victims and shift the blame for the abuser's actions onto them. Or bragging about how you saved your client thousands on a medical malpractice suit when a surgical sponge was left inside the patient and they were forced to settle because they couldn't afford a long trial. All of it is legal, but disgusting. What kind of a lowlife do you have to be to sleep soundly after that? And a second example, drenching yourself in heavy perfume or cologne in enclosed spaces. Buying up other people's property tax debts, especially deliberately hunting for those who obviously won't be able to pay, so you can grab their home for pennies and leave them without a roof over their heads. Edit. Let me explain for those who don't get how it works. You acquire a tax lien on someone's property. It's all completely legal, though the rules vary from place to place. This is only possible if the owner already has a debt. Then you pay off the debt to the government in full in cash and get the lien. After that, the owner has a set period to repay you the amount plus interest. If they don't, you have the right to seize the property in exchange for the debt, essentially getting it for next to nothing. The biggest difficulty is eviction, because people can just keep living there, and then you get into fights over squatters' rights in courts. But if you calculate everything carefully and pick a lot with high land value, you can make a lot even with a trashed house. It's not fast money, but it's an almost guaranteed profit. Morally, it's vile because you're profiting off people who already have enough problems, making a fortune using one state's tax breaks and then moving to a state with no income tax so you can stop sharing with the government. Buying up an entire product's stock so you can resell it. My mom gave me Ray-Ban Meta glasses with a camera for Christmas. Literally the next workday, when I was wearing them, a coworker asked why I wasn't using them to take pictures of a woman on the beach who was sunbathing in a revealing bikini. Honestly, I love working on the beach and seeing attractive women around, but I'm not about to film them with this damn spy gear. Come on, it's legal. You're just photographing the beach, he started. Long story short, this guy just ogles women while they don't notice. And every time, they turn away, clearly uncomfortable. It looks incredibly creepy. I've called him out on it more than once, and every time he comes back with something like, "Oh, come on, dude, she wants it." No, dude, you're like 20 years older than her, and you look like a piece of garbage. There's this one character who wanders around public places in a fully black mask and silently films people, deliberately making them so uncomfortable that they ask him to stop. When he refuses, it usually turns into a confrontation, and if someone tries to push the camera away, he generously blasts them with pepper spray. I can't stand that guy. Scalping, like that whole thing with the trading cards with Pokemon. Personally, I don't care. I don't play. But when I see these fat morons frantically sweeping up every pack in sight, my hands literally itch. Going to a bar with your friends on your wedding anniversary instead of spending the day with your partner. People who talk on speakerphone everywhere, even in crowded public places. My dad is exactly like that. If I hear crowd noise in the background and realize he's got the speaker on again, I start the conversation by asking about his colonoscopy and the results of his rectal exam. The urge to talk that way disappears instantly. Taking your shoes off in a public place that isn't a pool. Peering into other people's cars on the street or staring into house windows from the sidewalk. Revving your car engine while technically not breaking the city noise ordinance. For 5 months straight, some guy on my street, every Saturday and every holiday, at exactly 7:15 a.m., revs his engine. And he does it for a good 2 minutes. By the sound, I can already tell exactly which streets he's driving on. Since September, I haven't once slept in on a Saturday past that time. He doesn't do it on Sundays, so apparently that's his day off. And on Saturdays he works and wakes up the whole neighborhood in the process. Obviously it's not the end of the world, and you could even try to see a silver lining, getting up earlier. But God, how I wish he'd just stop. Thanks so much for watching. In the comments under the video, write what things technically aren't illegal, but if you do them, you'll look like a total asshole. And don't forget to check out our other videos. Big hug. See you tomorrow. Bye.